welcome to Time for Health. I'm your host, Rachel Fall, and we're very glad you've joined us today. Today, our topic is surgery, and we have Magruder Hospital's general surgeon here, Dr. Ray Fuller. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Usually we talk about, cholesterol or nutrition or something, but especially now in the time of COVID, everything's a little bit different. So we just kind of wanted to talk about surgery, you in particular, and general surgery and all that kind of stuff. So thanks for being here.
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, I guess, to start.
All right. Well, I was raised down in central Ohio, a little town called Delaware. Actually, just outside of that, we lived on a farm.
Okay.
All of my family were either teachers or farmers or both, and went to high school at a school about the size of Port Clinton High School, I would think. Ran cross country and track and played basketball. Went to Ohio State for college and medical school, and then came up to Toledo where I did my residency in surgery. That's where I met my wife, and then we went back down to Delaware for 24 years. I practiced as a general surgeon down there, and then a couple years ago, both kids were out of high school. I was kind of looking for something a little different, and her dad and brothers were still here, and I knew some of the people working at Magruder, and it just worked out that we came up here.
It did.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad to have you.
Yeah.
So surgery, you said you did your residency up in Toledo.
Mm-hmm.
I guess talk a little bit about the training that surgeons go through. Kind of being in healthcare, I know just enough to be dangerous. So
Right.
I know there's college, med school.
Right, yeah. So everybody has to go through college and get their undergraduate degree. Then you go to medical school, which is typically 4 years, and get your doctorate degree. And all of that is the same for everybody, no matter what specialty you're going into.
Okay.
And you learn the basics, and you also kind of rotate through different services to kind of get an idea what you may like to do. And then you go on to residency, and that's when you really specialize.
Okay.
You can do your residency in surgery or in family practice, obstetrics and gynecology, anesthesia, whatever you want to do. And then the length of time you're in residency depends on your specialty. For general surgery, it's 5 years, and I also did a year of research, so it was a total of 6 years.
Okay.
So from the time you graduate high school to the time I finish is 14 years. I used to like to tell people if I started college the same time somebody started kindergarten, I would finish my training after their first year of college.
Wow, yeah.
So
That's a
long
lot
road.
of training.
Yeah.
So medical school, residency, and then you can practice doing general surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I feel like general surgery, what all does that encompass, I guess?
Yeah, well, I tell people we don't usually operate on blood vessels, bones, or nerves.
Okay.
But pretty much anything else is fair game. I do in the upper endoscopies where we look down into the stomach.
Okay.
We do colonoscopies where we look in the colon. We take out gallbladders and appendixes. We do breast cancer, colon cancer, fix hernias, do skin cancer. We can do thyroid surgery and parathyroid surgery.
Okay.
Sometimes we even do things in the chest.
So no blood vessels, no bones. What was the other one?
Nerves.
Nerves, sure. Everything else is. And is that specified by the medical board, or is that just something that I feel like certain physicians or certain surgeons say, I'm going to focus on these certain areas?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, in our training we go through everything. I mean, we do some time doing orthopedics, we do some time doing urology,
Okay.
and doing trauma and doing intensive care. And so we can do all of that.
Gotcha.
As we come out, we kind of fit our practice to what the community needs.
Oh, sure.
So if I were practicing in Toledo or Cleveland, they'd have all the specialists around. I probably wouldn't do the endoscopies or the colonoscopies. I might not do the breast surgery. It would be a much more narrow field that I would do.
Gotcha. So your training kind of encompasses everything, and then you can and then what you said makes a lot of sense. It depends on what the community needs. Like you said, if you were in a big city where there were specialists of every kind, you wouldn't necessarily need to do that. Right. So talk a little bit about what a person going through I have a question first. Is there a difference between a procedure and a surgery?
Well, I think we kind of use them interchangeably.
Okay.
I would say technically, if you make an incision, I tend to call it a surgery. If you don't, I would call it a procedure. For example, an upper endoscopy, I would think of as a procedure because I didn't make an incision.
Gotcha.
Same with colonoscopy and that sort of thing. But if I'm making an incision to do something, I usually call it a surgery. But they're used interchangeably a lot.
Yeah. Okay. And so What kind of preparation does a person have to do? Well, I guess it varies a lot, doesn't it,
Right,
for
right.
different kind of
I mean,
surgeries?
if they're coming in through the emergency room and it's an emergency,
They get no
you don't
preparation.
get a whole lot of prep. You know, maybe some X-rays and blood work in the emergency room. Then you go to surgery and deal with it. If it's
Gotcha.
something that's more elective, you can do it when is a convenient time to do it. We will get blood work, we'll get X-rays, we'll do studies to check their heart, just to kind of make sure that from a medical standpoint, they're going to tolerate the surgery and the anesthesia
Gotcha.
before we put them through it.
So you talked about some of that testing. I know right now with COVID at Magruder, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're, as part of the pre-admission testing, which we can talk about that as well, one of the things they're doing is testing for COVID. Why is that important?
Well, it's important for a couple of reasons. One, we want to limit the exposure, not only to the patients, but to all the staff at the hospital,
Sure,
the operating
that makes
room.
sense.
And as you're putting in a breathing tube during surgery, there's a chance that you could really spread a lot of that virus.
Gotcha.
So we don't want to put all those people at risk. The second thing is that people who have surgery, if they have COVID, have a higher risk for having problems after surgery.
Harder
Certain
to recuperate.
certain complications are more common
Gotcha.
after surgery, even though they're not all that sick from the COVID. So if we can put the surgery off, we like to do that.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, pre-admission testing,
Mm-hmm.
does that exist for all procedures and surgeries, like for colonoscopies and that kind of stuff, or?
Yeah, a little bit depends on the patient.
Okay.
You know, if you come in and it's a young, healthy patient who has no medical problems, not on any medicines, they don't need too much pre-admission
Okay,
testing.
but we'll talk about somebody who, like, what is the?
Yeah, but somebody who's, say, older, may have had some heart issues, has diabetes, other medical problems, we'll certainly get some blood work, maybe an X-ray, maybe an EKG. And if they do have heart problems, we may want them to see their cardiologist first so that they can
Get
have their
some
heart
clearance.
tuned up as good as possible before we take them to surgery.
Okay, that makes sense. So doing all that ahead of time so that they can go into the surgery in as good a shape as possible, so
Right.
that helps
Right.
them recuperate on the other end.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a favorite surgery? That's kind of a
No,
weird question,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, no, I get asked that a lot, but I don't. No, the thing that appealed to me about general surgery is I get to do the wide variety. So, you know, in some specialties you go into, you do the same procedure
Sure. Yeah.
several times a day, every day. Whereas me, like tomorrow, I had 5 or 6 procedures scheduled. They were all different,
Gotcha.
and so that's what I enjoy.
A little bit of variety.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So we just recently, or somewhat recently, renovated the surgery area upstairs, and did get a chance to glimpse kind of back there, but when obviously not while anybody was doing surgery or anything, before it was open again. It's a sterile environment, because I know there are certain places, like I can only go so far, and then I'm not allowed any further back there. Talk
Right.
about the sterile and air pressure and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, they have a red line on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want you coming back learning our secrets. You got to stay. But anything beyond that, you have to be in a certain way. You have to be wearing scrubs. You can't have any street clothes go beyond that.
Okay.
You got to have a cap on. And then as you get into the operating room, you know, all that area is just very clean. It's not sterile. It's just we want to decrease the amount of
Right.
germs or bacteria getting into that area.
Right.
Once you get into the operating room, it's still that same type of clean environment, except you'll notice, like if you watch TV shows, that, you know, when the patient's on the operating table, we only have the part that we're operating on exposed. So once they get on the table, we wash that area off real well, and we put on those blue drapes.
Yeah.
And those blue drapes are sterile, and the
Okay.
part that's exposed on the patient is sterile.
Okay.
And then anybody who's wearing the blue gowns and gloves, or on the what we call the back table where all the instruments are, that has a blue drape over it. All of that is sterile.
Gotcha.
Everything outside of that is not sterile.
Okay.
So you have to be cognizant of that as you're doing things in the room and moving
Gotcha.
around and that sort of thing.
Interesting.
And then there will be people in the room who are within that sterile area, the
Okay.
surgeon and the scrub nurse and the assistant. But there's a circulating nurse who does a lot of the charting and goes to get things we may need.
Okay.
She isn't sterile.
Okay.
So she can't touch any of the blue area.
Okay.
And then, of course, the anesthesiologist, he's out of the sterile area as well.
Okay. Yeah, so you work very closely with anesthesiology
Right,
too. Do
right.
you kind of talk to them like about each patient, or is there kind of some common protocols depending on what the surgery is?
Yeah, especially if there's a patient that may not be routine, we'll talk with the anesthesiologist. We'll kind of review their medical history. I'll tell them my plan on what I'm doing. They'll talk about the anesthesia options and what would work best for that patient. Yeah.
So people sometimes get really nervous about surgery. What would you tell them?
Well, it's natural to be nervous.
Sure.
For surgery. Yeah. And we expect that. We know that you're going to be nervous when you come in. Just know that we're going to take care of you. We do this every day, and we treat you like we would our family members and our friends, and a lot of times in a small town, you are a family member, a friend of somebody back there.
That's quite true. Yeah.
So, just know that we're going to be taking care of you.
I had 3 C-sections, and so by the third one, I was nervous for the first 2. By the third, I'm like, this is the day that no one is going to expect anything from me.
Right.
This is like the most day off I've ever had. So
Right.
I kind of went into the last one like, all right.
Yeah. Good.
I'm not sure that's the super most healthy way to look at it, but that's okay. Any other final thoughts about surgery or how it's changed over the years? I guess that might be kind of interesting.
Yeah, the biggest change in my career has been the involvement of in laparoscopy, where we've gone from where we had to make big incisions, even to take out a gallbladder. We used to make an incision about like this.
Yeah.
Now the biggest incision we make is about like that, with a couple others even smaller, and just the way that we can use the instruments now to do that through the smaller incision, just much better for the patients. Less pain afterwards, quicker recovery.
Sure.
A patient who had their gallbladder out 20 years ago was in the hospital for 2 or 3 days. Now it's an outpatient procedure.
Outpatient. Yeah, I guess talk a little bit about that. I think things are more outpatient now,
Yeah.
which I know, again, sometimes you kind of want to hang out in the hospital because, I want somebody to take care of me.
Yeah.
But with the smaller incisions and better technology and all that kind of stuff, they don't necessarily have to be in for as long.
No.
What can be done laparoscopically?
Well, a lot of different things can be done now.
Yeah.
Of course, the thing that really set the whole thing going was the gallbladder, taking out the gallbladder laparoscopically. But we can, as general surgeons, can take out the appendix. We can take out portions of the colon or small intestine with the laparoscope. There are urologists who are taking out kidneys and adrenal glands with the laparoscope. We're taking out a prostate. We had the gynecologists, of course, taking out uterus and ovaries with the laparoscope. Lung surgeons or chest surgeons are taking out portions of the lung with the laparoscope.
Wow.
So we can do a lot of procedures now that way.
And the biggest thing with that is smaller incision, less
Right.
area of you that it has to heal.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because on the inside we're doing essentially the same thing we've always done. It's
Right.
just through smaller incisions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Any other last thoughts?
No.
We
Just
really
good.
appreciate your time today.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we know who to ask if we have any questions about surgery. So thanks.
All right.
All right. We are, we're done. And I want to thank Dr. Fuller for being with us today. Just kind of enlightening about surgery. Like I said, it's a certain part and you don't go past a certain part. And if you've ever been in surgery, you're knocked out. You don't remember what goes on. So thanks for shedding some light on some of that stuff.
You're welcome.
And again, as I always say before we go, I encourage you to make time for health.